If you could sum up karting in a word, it would be pure. Pure machines that are stripped back to the bare necessities. And pure racing, where skill, not money, gets you to the front. In the Castrol Edge CIK Stars of Karting, Australia's flagship kart series, the Pro Light class is karting at its purest for the purists. Here, the old school rules of karting apply. These drivers rely on momentum, rhythm, smoothness. There are no belts, no roll cage, no room for error. These drivers face danger for the chance to be a champion, and here at Melbourne's Todd Road circuit, we will crown a champion, as this is the final round of the series. So, who's in the hunt? Well, leading the pack is Sydney sider Matthew Waters. He may not have won a final yet this season, but his consistency has given him a narrow lead over local boy George Taranis.
Round 1 or 2 was the best round. I finished second at the first 2 rounds. As the year's gone on, we're still in the championship, which is our main focus leading into this last round. Obviously, George and Troy are second and third in championship, especially George. It's his home track this round.
Yeah, it's been a fantastic year. I had a pretty dominant win in Bolivar, which was grouse. Unfortunately, I had 3 DNFs after that, lost a lot of valuable points from there and lost the championship lead.
If the top 2 get too caught up battling each other, Troy Losco in 3rd position and Brooke Top in 4th will be ready to pounce.
Only 19 points behind, that's fairly easy to make up. We can do that in one heat.
If we can just keep our momentum going at this round, do what we can and hope for maybe a little bit of misfortune for some other people, and hopefully we can bring out the Harrington Doyle racing card on top.
4 drivers, all with a serious chance of winning the title, and in a city that loves a grand final. It's the last round of the Castrol Edge CIK Stars of Karting, and there are trophies to be won. It's the track with the killer city views, and once again, it plays host to the final round of Australia's premier karting series. Hi everyone, welcome to Todd Road here in Port Melbourne, where the battle in the Pro Light class has come down to the wire with 4 different drivers all vying for the prestigious James Courtney Trophy. But it's not just the trophy that's up for grabs, as this weekend the man who walks away with the series also bags himself a $10,000 scholarship to race in Europe. So the all-important point score coming into the 5th and final round, and Matthew Waters is the man with the advantage, but George Taranis is right there with him. Losco and Top are a few points back, but if they can never win in the first few heats, come the final race of the weekend, they could well and truly be in the mix. It's a championship that has some famous winners such as Jamie Whincup and Mark Winterbottom, and once again this weekend it looks set to be decided in the last few laps. This promises to be exciting. Pro Light is the name we have given to the karts that are internationally known as KF1. All karts use the 125cc Iami motor. They are electric starting, water cooled, and can rev up to a whopping 16,000 RPM. These revs are limited electronically. What really sets these karts apart is the unusual hand-operated front brake. Drivers can activate this with their right hand and typically do so before tight corners. They're great in helping to overtake. More of a pull to pass than a push to pass. They are only given 2 sets of MG tyres for the weekend. It's a medium compound, so they have to go easy on their rubber. All up, they weigh just 163 kilos with the driver, and they zoom around at 130 kilometres per hour. It's a very traditional style go-kart with a rich history in motorsport. Time to take a look now at this magnificent Todd Road circuit located right near the Westgate Bridge in Port Melbourne. Starts off with that famous downhill section, max speed on the approach to turn 1 at around 130 k's depending on what kind of kart you're in. Then hard on the brakes, a great overtaking opportunity. Down to the chicane, careful not to hit the curbs too hard through there. The run through turn 4 is just about flat out. Important to carry as much speed through here to set up a pass at the tight turn 5. Then it's hold on down the back straight and through turn 6. If you don't lift through there, you can register 3 Gs through there. Wild stuff. Then it's tight and twisty as it winds its way back up the hill. Super important to get a good run out of the last corner to help make a pass on the next lap. Kilometre long, lap times are around the 40-second mark. Great little track.
Pro Light heat races here at Todd Road, Matt Payne, and gee, there was some drama in this one too. The championship leader Matthew Waters was caught in quite a big incident down at turn 1.
Yeah, quite a mixed grid here this weekend at Todd Road, with some of the locals really getting on board and sitting right at the top of the timesheets. And here we go on board. with the championship leader Matthew Waters right behind Joshua crossing him for Harrington Doyle down into turn number 1, and it gets it all wrong.
It was a big moment. He would go no further. Pierce Lahane in the 22 came through to get a heat race victory, but Chad Naylon after that race caught up with the man in the thick of the action, Matt Waters.
A couple up and down heats for you, Matthew. Talk us through first what happened in that second heat.
Yeah, in the second heat, I came into the first corner. I think I pushed a bit too hard, and me and the guy in front of me come together, and it ended my second heat. So I lost a lot of points there. But in the third one, I came back to finish third, so I picked up a few points there. So still clinching onto the lead, just.
In terms of the championship now, we've got a big day coming up with 2 final races, and that championship between 4 guys still very much up for grabs.
Yeah, I mean, all the guys are pretty close in points. We got good pace today. It's going to be tough because the other boys aren't slow either.
Karts are famous for their incredibly sharp handling. A lot of technology goes into helping these things to rip through the corners. But one area that doesn't get nearly enough credit is the amount of development that goes into their tiny, high-revving engines. Small, lightweight, and very hard-working, go-kart engines have come a long way over time. While air-cooled engines are commonly found on tracks around Australia, water-cooled engines are the only kind used in the Castrol Edge CIK stars of karting. An engine can last a club and racer a really long time, but the pro guys recondition motors after every event. They weigh about 15 kilos, and while the actual horsepower numbers might seem low at first, you have to remember it's all relative to the weight of the karts. An iArmy 125cc engine found in Pro Light will make around 35 horsepower, whereas the Pro Gearbox teams wring 45 horsepower out of a similar size engine. When you consider the karts weigh just a tad over 100 kilos, that gives it a power to weight ratio similar to that of a NASCAR. Get my point? Anyway, let's have a look at some cool stuff, namely some of the tiny lightweight parts that go into these great little engines. First, we have the aluminium block itself. They contain just the one single cylinder, and the head goes on top. Everything is just a downscaled version of a high-performance engine found in a car or motorbike, like these tiny pistons, rods, crankshafts and carbies. What these parts lack in size, they make up for in pure strength. You see, the key to getting a small motor to go fast is to rev it really hard, so the parts need to be able to handle a lot of punishment. That's where the guys at J&A Kart Tuning in Melbourne come into it. When they have an engine ready for a customer, they hook it up to their dyno and fire it up. After a few minutes to clear its throat, it's time to drop the hammer and see if this engine is ready for the track. Plenty of RPM. And a quick look at the data, and yep, this is one tin soldier ready to head back to battle.
And we say thanks to our friends at J&A Tuning, Anthony Bartolo and his team out there at Essendon for their support in putting together that package in a very technical aspect of what is a very competitive class of racing.
Yes, indeed. And Brock Plum will start on the pole with Pierce Lahane alongside Joshua Smith, Nathan Tagani, Dennis Willison, then the first of our championship combatants, George Duranis.
And this is a massive championship battle, Matty Payne. There are 4 drivers that came into this weekend split by 41 points. Matt Waters, we saw with dramas in the heat racing with 448. George Duranis on 441. Losco on 429 and top with 407 points. So hugely close, hugely competitive. 4 drivers looking to fight it out for the Pro Light title that's been won by some of the biggest names in the sport. We'll tell you more about those as this race evolves. Getting set for the rolling start. Down to turn 1 they go, down the hill at Todd Road, and so far so good, a clean start.
Yeah, our championship combatants were starting 6th, 7th, 8th and 9th on the track, so right in the middle of that pack, and it's a miracle that they've all got through there. Lahane's dropped back to 4th, and we're now on board with championship leader Matthew Waters right on the back of the number 3 of George Duranis, the man with all the work to do this afternoon.
Yeah, it doesn't get much closer than that either, does it? So very, very close. Brock Plum leads them over the hill for the first time, but Tagani right behind him in the 11. Wow, you can see how hard they're pushing rear wheel off the deck around the right-hander.
Yeah, Tagani's been super fast all season long aboard that number 11 PCR. He just hasn't had the technical luck that he's needed to get the results on the board. He's sitting second at the moment. Let's hope that that might translate to a result later on in this race.
Keep an eye out for Pierce Lehane. He's in the pack as well. He's won the most feature races of anybody this season, so he's looking pretty good. Josh Smith in the 7 too, right in the thick of this fight.
Yeah, good to see Josh Smith right up there. Certainly in a Stars of Karting point of view, he hasn't generated the results that he would have been looking for. He's been over in Europe racing for the Cosmic Factory team in the European KF Championships this year. He's just come off the back of that, and you're really starting to see the benefit of the European racing here as he goes up the inside of Tagani, but that's put him on the outside here, and the one who's getting a big sniff is Pierce Lehane.
Yeah, he's going to get a position, and the 7's going to lose 2 of them. So he tried to make that move around the outside. It didn't work, got hung out to dry, and he's lost 2 places. Lehane goes forward. Gee, it's intense in this pack, isn't it?
Yeah, it's great to see a good mixture of chassis as well. Up the front, there's the Australian-built Arrow chassis with Brock Plum, the young Queenslander on board the number 15. Then it's a PCR from Italy, the Red Speed from Italy. Then it's a bunch of Cosmics. The Cosmics running there right behind Lehane, led by Joshua Smith. Then, of course, it's your championship combatants, Duranis, followed by Waters as they come tearing down this front straightaway at around 125 kilometres an hour.
Lap 4 and a move down the inside, the 22. Lehane gets it done. Nice pass, textbook stuff. Great run out of the final corner, and then just run one down the inside. So Pierce is coming forward in this first feature race. He's been good this season too, although he's not done with this position yet. The 7 Smith got up, and he's got dramas.
Yeah, just stopped there. I'm not quite sure what happened with Joshua Smith. He just got a wheel up on the curb and then pulled off to the side. We saw it all on board from George Duranis. He's looking down towards the back of the go-kart R. I think he might have popped the chain off. That might be the problem there for Joshua Smith.
Well, he hit that curb very, very hard, Matt, in that sequence of racing when they were very, very close, and he was trying to go back on Lehane when he got by. So I'm wondering if that was the drama. That's what might have bumped that chain off the drive in that number 7 kart.
Yeah, that's a real shame for Joshua. He's looking very, very good. But what about the drive here from the man in 4th aboard kart number 3, George Duranis? He's been such a surprise packet throughout this Stars of Karting presented by Castrol Edge Pro Light Field this year. Won 2 races at the Bolivar Raceway earlier this season. That was not expected at all, and he's right in the championship hunt. He's now got a kart between himself and Matthew Waters. The 3 times Australian champion in other categories is Waters. He's gunning for number 4 here today.
Yeah, yet to win a feature race this season though, but he's been on the podium 4 times, so he's got the stats, he's had the consistency, and that's what's got him in the fight. That was Willison in the 98, just going down the inside. The Inox Lubricants Energy Kart. Nice move.
Yeah, Adam Willison, one of the locals here in Victoria. He hasn't really shone in the championship so far. This is one of his best performances as he jumps onto the back of Nathan Tagani there. Great story earlier in the season, just prior to the second round of the championship. All of his gear was actually stolen. The entire karting community got right behind Adam Willison to ensure that he could go racing, then got the phone call Sunday morning to say that they found his gear.
On board with Waters down the inside at turn 1. That's where he had the dramas in the heat race. Not so this time. Nice pass. Gets that position. And he's working his way forward.
Don't know about you, Richard, but I had my heart in my mouth then. They were the 2 championship competitors going at it into turn 1. There was about an inch between the 2 of them there. Waters gets in front of Duranis, builds more crucial points towards his championship. Now he's on the back of his fellow Sydney sider in Nathan Tagani. This is a tremendous battle. This is one of the races of the year in Pro Light.
And down the inside too. Last minute move, but gets it done. Waters is flying. 2 drivers passed within the space of a lap. The 7th lap was a good one for Matthew Waters. Lap 8 starting now, and he's charging his way forward.
Don't know about you, Richie, but I'm getting the feeling that something quite spectacular is going to happen here this afternoon as Troy Losco aboard that Key and Fothergill Karting. Number 17 moves up a position. As we cross to the front, we've had a change for the lead.
I worry when you get that feeling, Matty Payne. I worry, I do. Lehane, so he's out in front. Plum 2nd, so that is a change of position. And how good's Pierce Lehane? He has had such good pace.
He's such a tremendous racer. Came into the Stars of Karting Championship late this year as Tyrannus goes back a couple of spots there. But yeah, Pierce Lehane has just showed what sort of quality that he has on board. That number 22, a brand new chassis in the Red Speed chassis that he's brought into the championship under the Kart 1 Racing banner. With the guys there from Kart 1 Racing in Sydney, and he's been racing over in the European Rotax Championships this year, has Lehane. He's got 3 wins to his credit. That could well have been 4 if the radiator cap didn't come adrift in Sydney.
Man, how good Adam Willison going in this, up to 3rd, and right on the back of those 2 in front. Oh, the 11 off, gone. Tagani right in the thick of the action in the early stages. And the 66-2, I wonder if that's connected.
Not really sure. Dimitri Agathos was at the other end of the racetrack, so I don't really think that was connected. I don't know what the problem was there for Tagani, but that's a real shame. He was really on for a top 5, possibly even a podium there, as now Willison gets his way past Brock Plum and sets sail for the 22 of Pierce Lehane.
This has been a storming drive by the 98, charging his way through the field. Great pace early, and now Pierce Lehane is his next target. Fantastic performance, up to 2nd place, and Plum back to 3rd, having led this one early, and now it's a battle of 4 for the race lead. This is spectacular stuff, Matt. This is really high intensity, high quality karting.
This is what we love about CIK Stars of Karting action. This is when they just leave nothing on the table and are going at it. These 2 up front haven't got a championship to race for. They've just got the glory of winning here at Todd Road this weekend. You can hear those MG tyres screaming. You can see them using the front brakes with their hands going down into turn number 1. And I think that we're in for a storming battle towards the back end of this race between Pierce Lehane and Adam Willison.
Well, Willison is right there, tucked up behind the 22. Where will he make his move? It's been a fantastic fight for the lead, and it's building in this first final for Pro Light at Todd Road. Thanks to Castrol Edge, it's the Stars of Karting, and you can see why. We're going to take a very short break. This race is far from over. We'll see where it goes when we come back. The Castrol Edge Stars of Karting at Todd Road, and a mighty battle for the race lead underway in the Pro Light first final. For the lead, Pierce Lehane is hanging on with grim realisation that his position might be slipping away very soon.
If there's one thing that Adam Willison knows, it's his way around this Port Melbourne 1 kilometre long Todd Road circuit, and he's right on the hammer of Pierce Lehane here. Brock Plum, the Queenslander, holding a watching brief in 3rd. What about the battle for the championship a little bit further back? Matthew Waters holds that down at the moment, and Troy Losco, the Bundaberg flyer, is making his way through the field as well.
The focus on the points just behind the scenes in this race at the moment, because we've got such a good on-track battle for 1st and 2nd, and then a 3-kart fight for 3rd, 4th and 5th position as well. And gee, it's just so intense. And you talk about the championship, Matt Payne, and you wonder why they're fighting so hard for it. Well, yes, everyone wants to win, but if you look at the record books for this class, there are some amazing names that have got the checkered flag and won the point score. 2001, Mark Winterbottom. Year 2000, Neil McFadden, the Gold Star champion. And in 1999, how about Jamie Whincup on his way to a 4th V8 title this year? And he won this karting championship a little more than 10 years ago. So it shows how important this series really is.
Oh yeah, it's definitely the breeding ground for champions as Troy Losco goes up the inside, gets himself into 3rd plus Brock Plum. Plum doesn't want to take that lying down. He's going to continue to fight back. And the championship leader Matthew Waters is right there. But Waters has to keep now Losco in consideration. Coming into this weekend, yes, he was a mathematical chance. It's Willison has his first big look. It was a mathematical calculation, was Troy Losco, but now he's actually right in the hunt for the championship, 2 places ahead of Matthew Waters.
See, this is why I don't go go-karting, Matt Payne. I'm not a brain surgeon to work out the points permutations in my brain as the race is going on, which these guys are going to have to be doing. They have to keep track of where their rivals are. Move down the inside and gets it done, although there'll be a switchback. Plum will fight back. No, he won't. He'll lose that position. But you have to be continually on your ball, thinking about how many positions you need, and that dictates the kind of race that you run to get to the checkered flag.
Yeah, not only is it a 5-round championship, the CIK Stars of Karting, every single race you score points. So you score points every single time that you're out of the gate. So you have to be fully conscious of that. And the man who's done that the best this year has been Matthew Waters. The only victory that he's had in the series has been a heat race to date.
The consistency is everything, isn't it? And you just keep scoring those points, and if you're in the top 2 or 3 in every race, sometimes you can win a championship without actually winning one. Meanwhile, Pierce Lehane, the kind of pressure that he's feeling at the moment from Adam Willison is remarkable, and so far he's done a very good job for holding out. And he holds on to this lead. Willison has shown the nose a couple of times, but hasn't quite been able to work his way past the 22. So put yourself in the shoes of the driver in the 98, Matt. Where do you start looking to make a move?
I think down into turn number 1, but he's very good through this part of the racetrack. Here's Adam Willison. As I say that, he goes straight up the inside. Oh, he pushes Pierce Lehane wide. Lehane goes off into the dirt, and that allows Losco up the inside as well. So not only have we got a change for the lead, we've got a change for second place, and Losco gets himself up to second. Adam Willison really had to go for the move here. He pushed the kart in, and look at that.
Great kart control from Lehane, bouncing over the curb and the rutted grass on the exit of the final corner. He hung on to it, but he lost some positions, and he might just lose another one as well to Waters, who's really applying the pressure. So 3rd and 4th. So went from 1st to 3rd in the space of a corner. Great, hard motor racing now. What a fantastic move from Willison. He committed, he got the inside line, he used all the road available to him, and he got that pass done. Great, hard racing here in the pro lights at Todd Road.
Yeah, you can see the outcome of getting out on the dirt there for Lehane. He's lost all sorts of momentum. Also got some muck on the tyres, which has allowed Waters onto the back of him to make out the challenge there for the podium at the end of this first final. In fact, getting out on the dirt for Lehane, I believe he's going to be driving a speed car at some point throughout the season at Sydney Speedway. So definitely Pierce Lehane getting used to the dirt just a little bit too early though.
Yeah, it's not the kind of sideways he wants right now. I think he needs to save that for the Speedway later on. Here's a carbon copy of that move we saw before. Lehane just looks a little bit vulnerable in that final corner, doesn't he? There's been a couple of moves looked up the inside.
Yeah, I think that Waters, he half went for the move there. He just went a little bit too quickly, then thought better of it. I think that the championship got the better of him there, and he just pulled out of it. He wasn't quite decisive enough on Pierce Lehane going through into the final turn to get the job done. But what about the drive here, not only from Adam Willison to lead the way, but Troy Losco to work his way through from further back in the pack. He's now sitting second. This is without doubt Troy Losco's best drive of the season so far.
And it's not done with yet either, Matty, because he's applying the pressure to probably the star of the race in Adam Willison, who's just charged his way through the field with some amazing overtakes as well. It's been spectacular to watch. You mentioned, was there dramas up the road? Someone very wide. Was that our race leader? I think it was. It was Willison off at turn 1, and he's lost the race lead.
He's got a drama.
Lehane.
He's got a drama here as Willison. I don't know what it is. Can he get it back together? We'll just try and see if it's possibly a tyre drama for Adam Willison.
Lehane through, Waters as well. Drama for the guy that was the star in the early stages of this race. We were riding on board. We just saw him run wide at turn 1 on the exit of the corner, and he dropped a bunch of positions. He's not given up fighting yet. He's got back to race pace and side by side. Big moment though. Something is not right in the 98.
Yeah, can't quite pick it up. I think a tyre must have come off the bead for the kart to be handling like that, but he's certainly not lacking much pace there, so it's hard to put your finger on what's going on with the Adam Willison number 98 Inox kart there. He's under all sorts of pressure. He's got the 34 of Jordan Nicolau all over the back of him here. We'll keep trying to track that for you to see if the problem's righted itself or it's still going to continue on as we go tight on Adam Willison through the middle part of the racetrack.
So Losco will find himself in the lead of the motor race.
He's never won a CIK Stars of Karting event before, has Troy Losco, the youngster out of Bundaberg in Queensland. This is his first season, and he leads the way as we get down onto lap number 24.
What a performance, what a motor race. It's been impossible to pick a winner from any of the top 6 or 7 in this one, and the championship permutations just rumbling behind the scenes in this as well. There's so much going on, and this racetrack and this class has thrown up a blinder at Todd Road. It's not quite over yet. What more drama can we squeeze into these closing laps?
We still have a few more laps to go here, but don't forget we've still got another 25 to 27 lap race to come a little bit later on, and it's just going to be absolutely on right to the checkered flag.
There's $10,000 to the series champion at the end of the season as a scholarship towards a CIK international event. So there is so much on the line for winning one of these Castrol-led Stars of Karting competitions. That's why it's so intense. That's why it's so competitive. And this race has shown every last little bit of that.
Got an eye there on Matthew Waters, who, as we've said, it was the championship leader coming into this weekend. He has 3 Australian championships to his credit, 2 in senior national heavy, 1 in 2008 and 2011. In 2008, he did the double by winning senior national light. This will be the biggest championship win of his career if he was to continue on. But boy, oh boy, it's by no means over yet. One of his combatants, Troy Losco, leads the way, and we're on board with another one in George Duranis as he goes down through turn number 1.
Just saw a shot before of Joshua Crossingham, one of the many drivers out of the Harrington Doyle Racing squad in the Pro Light field this weekend.
Yeah, fantastic team, the Harrington Doyle Racing team. They do a sensational job in terms of presentation for the sport. Announced just at the end of this final round of the championship that they are to take on an official Arrow team sponsorship next year. So they'll become an official Arrow team next year, which is fantastic for Craig Doyle and all the team at Harrington Doyle Racing.
Laps winding down here at Todd Road, just the 1 kilometre to go on perhaps the race of the season. It's been remarkable, this one. So many things going on. Some great passes for the lead, a little bit of drama. Here's the 22, Pierce Lahane, led early, got to the front, ran wide out of the final corner and got wrapped up. But how about this guy, Troy Losco? He is on course for his first feature race victory in the Stars of Karting in the Pro Light category. What a brilliant performance, a measured drive. He was there when others struck drama. He had plenty of pace, and he gets the checkered flag, wins race 1. Fantastic performance by Troy Losco.
Yeah, Troy Losco getting the first ever championship win, or championship race win, I should say, for Kian Fothergill as a team manager. His first ever CIK Stars of Karting victory, winning by 2.8 seconds over Matthew Waters. Then it's Pierce Lahane, Adam Willison, Brooke Top rounding out your top 5 as we go down to the pits with Chad with a very happy winner in Troy Losco.
Well, what a race in Pro Light, and this championship is going to go down to the wire. Troy, you're the one who walked away with that, but that was a fairly healthy battle with a few guys out there.
Yeah, definitely. We had a fairly bad start, got pushed back from 7th to about 9th, and I slowly just picked away from the drivers. As soon as I got onto Pierce's number plate, I felt pretty good.
Talk us through the pass.
He got pushed off coming onto the straight due to a little incident with Adam Wilson, but then I had a fairly good run onto the straight, so I was able to throw it up the inside into coming off the straight. Yeah, after that performance in the pre-final, I reckon we still have a chance.
All right, we got 3 drivers. They're going to hit it out. 1 race left in the championship. You don't want to miss it. It's coming up after this.
The first final in Pro Light was an amazing motor race. Let's see what the second one offers up for us today from Todd Road. The Pro Light karts on the racetrack. Richard Crale and Matt Payne with you in the box, and this should be a thriller if the first one is anything to go by.
It all comes down to this. Just 3 guys now in with a shot at the championship. Troy Losco on pole. Championship combatant and leader Matthew Waters alongside. George Duranis starting out of position number 7. Keep an eye on Lahane and Willison. They were right in the thick of it in final number 1. Brooke Top, Jordan Nicolau having one of his best runs of the season. Luke Gavin, our round 1 winner, starting out of position number 10. It's all on the line here. Anything can and probably will happen.
The pressure is immense on these young drivers, and they've got 1 final to go to cap off the season. We're underway at Todd Road, the final race of the year in Pro Light. Duranis gone at turn 1. Championship contender around.
Unbelievable. George Duranis, who was running 2nd in the championship coming to this weekend, has spun around down at turn number 1. Oh boy, could this be the end of his championship, and more have gone. Here we go to the replay. Oh, he's just spun right in the middle there in front of the entire pack. How he didn't get taken out by any more, I have got absolutely no idea.
And it's lucky these karts have got an electric start and the centrifugal clutch, because otherwise he'd go no further. Tigani involved as well in the 11. He was a contender in race 1. So the drama just keeps coming in Pro Light.
I saw also Jeremy Lance involved in a further incident down the track, but meantime, Pierce Lahane has got away at the start. He leads the way as they go through the right-hander there aboard kart number 22 over Troy Losco, our final 1 winner.
Well, you'd suggest before today that Lahane on his pace this season would be able to control this race, but on race 1 he got to the front, but he certainly didn't stay there. So it's been so close, so dramatic and competitive. And all of a sudden, Matthew Waters finds himself in a little bit of a better championship situation after those dramas in race 1.
But not necessarily, Richard, because Troy Losco, he's also in with a shot coming into this final race. Waters cannot afford to be involved in a skirmish back there for 4th and 5th spot, while Troy Losco runs 2nd. He's right behind Pierce Lahane there, but if anything happens to Matthew Waters, it's game on for the championship.
Which is remarkable after, 4.5 rounds now we've had. This is the final race of the 5th round of the Castrol Edge Stars of Karting Series at the home of karting in Melbourne, Todd Road, not too far from the CBD. It's a great place to watch these young drivers in action, and action they are providing today.
Yeah, if you told me that Troy Losco aboard that Kean Fothergill Karting Cosmic after round number 3 was going to be in contention for the championship at the final race of the final round, I would have said you're absolutely kidding yourself. But here he is. He's pushing Pierce Lahane all the way, one of the best young karters in Australia. He's got this unheralded driver from Bundaberg aboard the kart number 17, pushing all the way.
These karts run a control engine, a 125cc engine that we saw a bit about at the start of the show. Some moves, the 98 goes through, that's Willison, so that's one less position forward for Losco. He drops to 3rd place, but about 38 horsepower for these karts, 163 kilos minimum weight, 16,000 RPM, thank you very much. They make a great noise, and they go pretty quickly too.
So Jordan Nicolau there aboard the orange, black and white CRG, all over the back of championship leader Matthew Waters, who's all over the back of Troy Losco. So Losco's concentrating obviously on 3rd, but he's got the championship leader behind him. It's all happening out there. The pressure's still on. This one is literally going to go down to the final lap.
Brooke Top in the back there in the Harrington Doyle Racing number 5. So he's in the thick of the action. He was one of the 4 contenders coming into this weekend, but he was the longest of long shots, Matt. He was 41 points off the championship lead coming into the final round. So for him, it was all about just going out and circulating and seeing what happened. Now, he's out of contention. He just wants a good race result in that number 5 in this final race of the year.
Yes, and just watching the battle continue on. Matthew Waters, he's not going to go out without a fight. I mean, he can afford to actually drop back a few places with Losco where he's at, not get involved in the skirmish, but he's not like that, is Matthew Waters. He's a really quietly spoken young guy out of Western Sydney, goes to university at the University of Western Sydney. Very, very professional with the way that he goes about his karting. As we've got a big move there from Losco. He goes up the inside of Willison. He takes Matthew Waters as well. So Willison, in a place that he's made a few dramatic passing moves this weekend, drops 2 positions, and now we've got a change in 2nd and 3rd.
Gee, Losco is going to fight and fight some more for this championship. That was a great move. That was the move of a driver that isn't worried about where Matthew Waters is going to finish in Matthew Waters, I should say, is going to finish in this race. He doesn't care. He just wants to go out and do his own thing. Fantastic free race car driver move. Excellent stuff.
Yeah, and very much about getting the monkey off the back. He's got that first race win under his belt, which he got in the first final that we just saw, and he's just going for it. He's just grown another leg. It's just an unbelievable drive from Troy Losco, and he would have to be in line for one of our contingency awards, of course, the Adidas All-Star Award. Each weekend of the CIK Stars of Karting Championship goes across all 3 of the professional categories. Oh, a bit of drama here on board. Further back in the pack is that, yes indeed, the 18 of Lachlan Gibbons goes past George Duranis, I think it is, who's trying to make his way forward. So that was some action further back in the pack that Duranis, who's still got a very, very slender shot at the title, was involved in.
You just hear too that the kart's banging the rev limiter at 16,000 RPM just at the end of the straight, which they'll do in a tow when they're tucked up behind another one. There's some spectators. They've got the best seat in the house in the middle of the racetrack. Not ideal for them though, because they're not part of what is another great battle. Lap 9. Long way to go. Lahane holding on in front.
Yeah, doing a great job is Pierce Lahane, controlling it from the front of the field, as we said before. Won 3 finals this year. Should have been 4, but he lost the radiator cap at the second final at Eastern Creek. That meant the water poured out of the radiator. You can see them as they're coming towards you on the right-hand side of the go-kart, and that meant he was underweight as they came across the scales, and they had to take the victory off him, sadly, but he's doing everything he can to get number 4 here as he goes through the left-hander. But there's a youngster aboard that kart, number 17, that might have something to say about that.
I think so. Based on what we've seen so far, he's made some brilliant moves, and he has been fast all the way through this weekend and just continues to apply that pressure. So 25k distance, the finale here at Todd Road, 1,000 metres this racetrack. It's tight, it's technical, some great corners and a lot of elevation change, Matty, at this place as well that you really don't see on TV as we see him move for the lead. Almost. Yeah, he's just showing the nose.
He's one of the most crucial parts of the racetrack as you start going up that hill. There's some really technical corners here, and if you get this wrong, it's going to compromise your flat-out speed at the end of this long, long front straightaway. Of course, we thank our major supporters of the Stars of Karting Championship, Castrol Edge, for all their support again this weekend and right throughout this season. Sir Duggar and the team have been right there since the beginning of the Stars of Karting concept.
And it's had some great names come through it in its great history. We mentioned before Mark Winterbottom, Jamie Whincup, 2 of the leading lights in V8 Supercars racing, came from Pro Light, 2001 for Frosty Winterbottom and 99 for Whincup. And in between them, Neil McFadden, Barclay Holden, who's one of the great names in Aussie karting, won 2 Pro Light championships before that. So it's been a fantastic class for bringing in great talent, and who knows where we'll see these young drivers in 5 or 10 years' time. This one for the lead, down the inside. This time he makes it stick, but there'll be a side-by-side battle into the next left-hander. Lahane tries again to get past, but can't do it.
That is insane onboard action from Matthew Waters. Don't forget, this guy's leading the championship and he's involved in this sort of battle. There was millimetres between those go-karts through turn number 1 as Waters has gone, forget about it, I'm out of this, and Willison goes through to 3rd.
Back to 4th for Waters. Points on his mind. That'll be calculating away in his brain over the course of this race. Great fight for the leader. Great move by Losco just down the inside there at turn 1. Fired it down, and then we've just had enough momentum out of the corner to cover that move on the run into that next left-hander.
Just working lap number 13 now. Richie, we're running halfway through this race. I'm exhausted already.
So am I.
But Troy Losco, what a drive by him so far. He's got himself through to the lead. He's grown another leg this afternoon. This is an unbelievable performance from this youngster. He's been there or thereabouts, but everything has just clicked around this Melbourne circuit for him.
And the pressure in top-level motorsport gets talked about a lot right throughout the tiers of racing, through the junior categories and up into the main game in V8s here in Australia or IndyCar in the States, like we've seen guys like Ryan Briscoe and Will Power go to, and of course Formula One. And Mark Webber was pretty handy in the go-kart, Daniel Ricciardo especially so. But pressure is everything, and if you can deal with it at this level, it's a skill you'll take forward in your professional racing career. And the pressure doesn't get too much more extreme than what we're seeing in this race.
No, definitely not. And Daniel Ricciardo, of course, we speak about him, was one of the stars of karting back in the day, had some great success in the junior categories and also the next category up before going over to Europe to race in Formula BMW. And of course, next year we'll take the 2nd seat or the equal 1st seat at Red Bull Racing in the Formula One World Championship.
Equal 1st seat. Well, hopefully that's the case. We'll see how that plays out for the Red Bull team. Well, this is a great race. Consistency has been king for Matthew Waters so far in the Pro Light category, and he's doing the same thing in the final race of the year. There is a championship on the line, and it will be decided in the final half of this race that we'll see when we come back to Todd Road after a short break. Castrol Edge presents the stars of karting, and we are watching some superstars of karting in the final for Pro Light here at Todd Road. Richard Crowell, Matt Payne with you in the commentary box, and a fantastic battle ongoing in the Pro Light final. Troy Losco leads the way. Pierce Lahane has been in the thick of the action, but Adam Willison and Matthew Waters are fighting it out for third and fourth place. Waters leads the championship. Matt Payne, this is a crucial race for him, and we said before the break, consistency has been his big thing so far this season, and he's showing that today. He's rolling around, making sure he gets to the finish and getting those points.
Yeah, Peter Galvin and the Cosmic Racing Australia team will know exactly where Matthew Waters needs to finish this race. They would have told Matthew well before the race where he needs to be and how the race needs to play out, and he looks as though he's driving it absolutely perfectly at the moment. He's a very, very experienced driver, is Matthew Waters. Done a lot of racing around the Eastern Creek International Karting Raceway, where the likes of Mark Winterbottom cut their teeth, and showing all of that skill and more here this afternoon.
Losco has driven away out in front, biggest lead of the weekend so far, as this fight for second ongoing. Down the inside, Lahane, that he's been passed there before in this race, and once again just exposed on the inside to the corner and drops a position, so Willison finds himself back into second place.
How was Lahane there? Lost a position, went through the corner, looked over his shoulder where Matthew Waters was, then still continued on right on the back of Adam Willison, didn't lose a centimetre.
Now Waters will want to stay here, or at least try and get Lahane without putting too much risk on the line, because through all this battling, Brooke Tops just brought himself into the equation. There's that number 5 car, the blue race suit, just at the back of this queue. So it's a good fight. So Waters just needs to be careful, can't expose himself too much to attack in this one.
No, that's exactly right. Brooke Top there. Father Chris keeping an eye on in the pits. He's just about to fly over to the States, in fact, to catch up with Marcus Ambrose at one of the NASCAR Sprint Cup events. They've got a close relationship with Marcus Ambrose, has the Top family, and good to see the Harrington Doyle boys right up there towards the front. They've had a bit of a wretched season this year, has the team Harrington Doyle, and great to see them challenging for a podium here at the final race meeting of the year.
And I don't know what's in the water up at Toowoomba there, up high in the hills outside of Brisbane and inland from Brisbane, I guess, but that's where Brooke's from, and that's where One Wheel Power has come from, and plenty of young drivers through the ranks in Australian open wheel racing at the moment. Jordan Lloyd in Formula Ford, Ben Jezikowski in F3, both former karters, both from that part of the world. They breed them well up there, there's no doubt.
Yeah, absolutely, and he's doing a really good job as Brooke Top. He's just done a very professional job throughout the season so far. They learn how to drive fast up there. There's a pretty wild go-kart track at Toowoomba, and as you say, it's pumped out plenty of champions.
On board with Waters. What a weekend this has been. Still yet to win a feature race, a final this season, but consistency's been everything for him. And at the moment, he's not even on the podium in this race, though he might be now. Looks down the inside of Lahane at turn 1, but he's not close enough. Lahane, Matt, just not quite strong going into that first corner. He's been past there a couple of times in this race.
Yeah, just doesn't have that extra bit of confidence aboard the kart, particularly with these front brakes being a very different way of driving the kart. Perhaps Pierce is just learning what to do with them, although they would have done plenty of testing in the lead up. Of course, won a couple of race meetings, and Troy Farley, who tunes his kart, is no deal when it comes to things like this, and certainly not really sure if there is an issue there for Pierce, but he's just still doing the goods, and I think it's a great championship drive here from Matthew Waters.
As we work lap 22, we should talk, for those that haven't seen these karts before, about those front brakes. So they're operated with the hand, foot brake with the rear brakes. Now, told before this race that some drivers are using the fronts only at turn 1, turn 5 around the back of the circuit here, and that's about it. But a bulk of the field use them in most corners, but it's just a different way of driving it, and sort of have to work that extra hand-eye coordination as well, I guess.
Yeah, it just gives you something else to do. Obviously, that just shows the level of technology that's involved in this level of karting. This isn't necessarily where you don't start at this level of karting, and of course it's a great family sport that from the age of 7 right through to 70 plus that you can get involved in. You don't need to be at this level. You can go and do it at a recreational level, certainly for a couple of $1,000s to go and buy a kart and just be a weekend warrior at your local go-kart track.
This fight continues. Lahane under immense pressure for third and fourth place. Waters holding on. Brooke Top just still sitting back there in 5th place. Here's Waters. And he's been strong through here.
He's closer than he has been for some time, as Matthew Waters at number 22 is very, very clear as he goes up the inside of the hill. Oh, that's a big move. Big move there from Matthew Waters. Goes him up into 3rd place, and can he hold on to it? Sideways on down the hill. Will Pierce Lahane fight back as we enter lap number 24? Yes, up the inside goes Lahane. Will he get through? Yes, he does, and Top tries to go through as well.
So Waters needs to be careful here. Championship on the line. He's lost another spot. Top got it. He goes to 4th. And this is another look at that. So round the outside, there goes Lahane. And there goes the number 5. It's been a pretty stealthy little drive, this, from Brooke Top. He's just sort of been quiet for most of this race, but he's come alive as it's gone on. So Waters back to 5th. And one of his championship rivals, Losco, further up the road in the 17.
Yeah, Losco leading the way, doing absolutely everything, throwing caution to the wind, if you like. He's just doing what he can and just trying to get the race win and letting everything else out of his mind and just see what happens from there as we go down the front straightaway. A bit further back in the pack, this is Juranis we're on board with again, just chasing through on the number 10 of Ben Edwards, the South Australian.
Yeah, and Edwards made a mistake going in the corner, locked the rears and just slid wide. So he got himself a position there. Juranis, nice move. And the fight continues. It just hasn't stopped since lap 1. The pressure has been immense, and generally it's this guy in the 22 that's been in the thick of the action since that opening lap.
As he always has been, Pierce Lahane. He only came onto the national scene just a couple of years ago, and since then, boy oh boy, hasn't he pulled off some immense titles. And talk of immense, what about that?
Great
that was Brooke Top straight up the inside, and we've got the best seat in the house.
Great stuff. So fired it down the inside, just slid out wide, and that allowed Lahane to retake that position. And for a moment there, I thought Waters would go through. Now this has brought Nicola, I think it is, the Shamik racing car in there as well. So this has been a very, very good fight.
Yeah, that's just still on the 4 carts going at it together as they work their way up the hill. Jordan Nicolau getting himself involved there too in the number 34, right behind the number 13 of Matthew Waters. This has still got the championship on the line. Nicolau up the inside.
Oh, smart from Waters. He saw him coming at the last minute and just steered right to give him enough racing room. Well, Troy Losco has done everything he possibly can to try and give himself an unlikely championship, and he's got himself in front in this race. And there's only a few corners to go, Matt Payne. What a drive this has been from the 17.
Superb weekend for Troy Losco. Superb weekend for the Kean Fothergill karting team. Out of the final corner, and he gets a double done. What a sensational result this is for Troy Losco and for Kean Fothergill. But speaking of sensational results, here we are on board with your new Australian Pro Light champion, thanks to Castrol Edge. That is, of course, Matthew Waters and the Cosmic Racing Australia team.
Well, that is a great result, and under so much pressure and a couple of positions lost in those final 10 laps, still didn't change the equation. And with the Castrol flag flying high, there is your new national champion in Pro Light. And he deserves a round of applause from the people watching on here at Todd Road. That's a great effort. Losco couldn't have done any more this weekend.
Not at all. Came in sitting 3rd in the championship, walks out finishing 2nd. He wins by 0.6 of a second over Willison. Then it was Lahane, followed by Top, Nicolau, Waters, Smith. Juranis, great job to get back up to 8, followed by Ben Edwards and Jed Stijakovic, rounding out your top 10. But the spoils rest with Matthew Waters, and this is going to be a very emotional moment when he comes in to catch up with his father John and gets out of that cosmic cart. We're going to go down there now and catch up with him with Chad.
A very, very nervous last race. Talk us through that one.
Yeah, I just knew I had to finish in the top 9. So I think I had a bit more pace. Then I ended up 6th. I had a bit more pace, but so glad we came away with the championship.
What does this feel like?
It's one of the best feelings of my life.
You see some of the names on this thing, Jamie Whincup, Mark Winterbottom. I mean, pretty special names.
Yeah, of course. I mean, such an amazing feeling, but after 15 years of racing, I'm glad we finally got our name on this too.
Well done, mate.
Thank you.
It's a great result, and you can see the emotion. Have a look at the final margin. Nothing in it between Waters and Losco. Juranis 3rd and Brooke Top 4th. The top 4 covered by less than 50 points. Here is your race winner.
Exciting last race. Talk us through that one, Troy.
Oh yeah, it was definitely good. I made a few mistakes early, but I managed to have great speed throughout the race, so I ended up on top, which is a great result for my first final win. Keen Fothergill has always given me great advice to conserve your tyres, and at the end of the race you'll have great speed. I slowed down my pace and cooled down my tyres, so at the end of the race I had promising pace.
So the James Courtney Trophy goes the way of Matthew Waters. Next week we will be back with the Pro Junior Finals from here at Todd Road.
It's been an unbelievable weekend of racing, Matt Payne. Thanks for your work, and thanks to our entire team here at the Castrol Edge, CIK Stars of Karting. Check your local guides for the next show, the Pro Junior Finals, coming your way. Until then, it's goodbye from Todd Road.